No one who entered the dark forest ever came back out alive. Located deep in the remote jungles of Central Africa, its very name struck fear into the hearts of even the bravest warriors in the surrounding villages. They called it Akwa Oka, which meant the White Forest, in their language, named after the bone-white trees that seemed to glow eerily even at the height of day. Legend told that Akwa Oka was cursed, inhabited by tormented spirits who lured unwary travelers to their deaths. It was said that an ancient juju priest had once used the forest to conduct dark rituals, enslaving souls and harvesting their life force to increase his powers. But his magic had backfired, unleashing vengeful apparitions that killed the shaman and claimed the forest for their own. The villagers avoided going near Akwa Oka at all costs, warning foolish strangers to stay away. But I was no stranger. I had grown up in these parts before leaving to study archaeology at the university. And I had recently returned to my village after graduating, hoping to explore the cursed forest that had fascinated me since childhood. Most outsiders dismissed Akwa Oka as superstition. But from my studies, I knew that ancient legends often held a grain of truth. And my scholar's curiosity burned to investigate what really lay within its depths. The elders tried in vain to dissuade me, calling me a stubborn fool. But I could not let go of the conviction that some wondrous discovery awaited me there. And so one misty dawn, armed only with notebook, camera and machete, I set out alone towards that mysterious cursed woodland. As Akwa Oka slowly came into view, I felt a prickle of unease but pressed on resolutely. The glowing bone-white trees seemed unearthly up close, gnarled branches clawing at the sky like skeletal hands. An unnatural stillness hung in the air and I glimpsed strange markings etched onto tree trunks that looked almost ritualistic. I pushed deeper into the forest, the canopy of white leaves slowly swallowing me in gloom. The deeper I went, the darker it got until I stumbled almost blind. I kept a hand on my machete and glanced nervously behind me, feeling unseen eyes tracking my every move, but each time I spun around, I saw nothing besides shadows dancing among the trees. Finally, I emerged into a small clearing bathed in eerie white glow. My eyes widened as I beheld the sight before me, a ring of towering stone monoliths, broken and eroded by time, encircling a stone altar stained a dark foreboding crimson. Scraps of rotted cloth and fragments of bone were strewn around the area. This was clearly a place of ancient sacrifice. I hurried forward, senses tingling with anticipation as I imagined unlocking tribal secrets forgotten for centuries. But as I crossed the monolith's shadow, a sudden blast of icy wind slammed into me, carrying disjointed whispers that seemed to echo all around. Terror seized me as I remembered the village tales of vengeful spirits. I spun around wildly only to see ghosts emerging from the monoliths themselves, skeletal wraiths with sunken eyes glowing red with madness and hunger. They surrounded me, some moaning piteously, others keening with malicious delight as they reached for me with grasping spectral hands. I swung my machete uselessly as they closed in, it passed right through their phantom forms. Backing up against the blood-stained altar, I watched in despair as one emaciated wraith with rotting flesh still clinging to its bones floated before me, jaws open impossibly wide as it prepared to swallow my soul. I screamed then, my cry echoing through the cursed forest. The ghosts only seemed to drink in my terror as they fed upon my life force. As my limbs grew leaden and icy darkness clouded my vision, my last thoughts were of regret. I should have listened to the elders. Akwa Oka's secrets were not meant for the living. Now its dead would claim me for all eternity, another lost soul in its dark accursed depths. As my lifeless body hit the ground, the spirits' whispers turned gleeful then furious as they warred over my soul. But eventually the wraiths glided back to their monoliths, their hunger momentarily sated as they melted once more into stone, waiting for the next fool to stumble into their lair. And so the myth of the cursed forest lived on. No trace of my ill-fated expedition would ever emerge. Back in my village, when word spread that I had ventured into Akwa Oka and never returned, none were surprised though all mourned. "Reckless, stubborn boy," muttered the elders. My grief-stricken parents pleaded the witch doctor to use his magics to seek me out, but he refused. No magic was strong enough to breach the ghost's domain. In the years that followed, other thrill-seekers and wanderers would ignore all warnings and set out towards the dark forest, curious about the strange tales that surrounded it. But like me, they would never be seen again, though their screams would sometimes pierce the still jungle air before being suddenly silenced. Decades passed and my doomed venture was mostly forgotten, merging into the eternal legend of Akwa Oka. The ghost's power seemed to grow as their lair claimed more lost souls. Each year, the bone-white trees would seem to inch closer toward surrounding villages as if seeking more prey. And so the villagers gave the dark forest an even wider berth, keeping naive outsiders clear of its borders and passing the cautionary tale of its curse down generations. They say on some nights when the moon is full, you can still hear faint screams echoing among the glowing trees. The souls of the foolish cry out in warning, "Stay away from Akwa Oka." But few listen, and the dead keep their secrets buried deep within that accursed forest for eternity.